This is the week 11 recap, following, I guess this would be the last week of 2017, and can't say it's a good one. Yeah, we'll just start it up. IGC was my first trade, trading it on this day, the 26th, and it announced some blockchain stuff. What did it do? Yeah, so 26. So again, it had this spike up from the 70 cents to the 190s. And I don't know what was with me this morning, but I just needed, I don't know what I was thinking. And I've been staying away from buying the initial breakouts in like the first 5 minutes of the trading day, just because it hasn't been working for me. But today I'm like, I saw all these blockchain Bitcoin plays that have been running the past week, and I really didn't seize the volatility. So I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. So I got in breakout right here, got in at 152, and I'm like, I'm just going to hold this. And I even thought to myself, like, I don't mind holding this overnight, getting in the morning right now, which probably wasn't the best plan. I didn't really care, because of that, I didn't really get a good risk level or really think about it. So, and it tanked. I wasn't really watching this because I was looking at another play, but I didn't mind it doing this. I really didn't. And even at the end of the day, even though I know it was stupid and all that stuff that I got in, I even thought, like, yes, higher lows here, it definitely could have that next day spike that I wanted. But it did a little bit pre-market, but when it was downtrending here, I'm like, no, this is not going to do anything. But again, I just waited at the open, and it still didn't do anything. So I'm like, gotta cut it. So cut it at 123. Not a good trade, obviously, but I mean, I still don't know right now what I was thinking at the open here. Just dumb play. But the other play I was in on the same day was RIOT, and this I was playing the number 5 bounce. So this was again the 26th, and I was playing it this day. So it had come down, and this 22nd day, it was basing, it was bottoming. And 22nd, we'll just look at really quick. Yeah, so here's the 22nd, and you can see, yes, it did have this morning panic, but we had the higher lows, and finishing green on the day. So this next morning got me interested. And it did gap up 10%, which kind of confirmed my number 5, but yeah, I didn't think it was overextending yet, because these things, Riot and XNet, can really run. So it had this big spike up right before the market opened, up to 29.50, topped out, and came down. And I was buying in here in the hopes that I could reach here and break out. So I got in at 28.57, so like somewhere in here in these 3 reds, and I was risking off the low here, and I was kind of, I should have had a better risk, but kind of to the 28s too, just because of that round number. But I think I was really looking off this 28.15, and it did spike up really quick, but I don't have hotkey set up, and I couldn't get out here. So I'm like, I really think it could break this. But it came down, withstood all this, and then it was actually in here, then I'm like, it just double topped here. It's having lower highs and volumes fading here. So I'm like, I just got to get out. It's not doing it. I got out at 28.62, and turned out to be a pretty good exit. If I were to respect my risk, I would have lost a bit. But at the end of the day, I did have the afternoon ramp. So definitely it would have been a better buy in the afternoon. But like I said, this thing has run in the morning, so I don't really mind it too much. The next day, this day I was actually shorting it. So it had this big run up, and on this day, it gapped up a bit and then it was downtrending. So it got me more interested, or got me reinterested and actually switching to short bias, especially after it had this failed morning spike, kind of topping out at pre-market and coming back down. And this is where I got my messed up entry here, chasing it down. So I started here, and after this failed thing, I'm like, okay. And then it came down, went red on the day, then had this another stair step, and I'm like, I need to be getting in on these, because as you can see, they're $80 drops. So on this red candle, I think it was, or maybe in the green here, I started in 30.50 was my entry. Was it 30.50? Yeah, it must have been on this red one when it came back up. And I chased it. I mean, you can see a line coming down here. I mean, if you draw a line, you can see my thought mentality. And it's already cracked big twice. Why would it crack again? Like, that doesn't make sense. But again, I got a little greedy here, so I shorted there. I was risking off this 39 area, just because, 31. And I got around here, it was uptrending, and then, I mean, I did change my risk. I changed my risk to, which was stupid, to 31.20, because that was the open, and that would have been green to red. So, and I saw it perked up here, came down, so it technically held it, even though it broke out a bit, but that was fast. But then in here, on these greens, that's what scared me out here. So I actually got out at 31.20. There might have been this green. I thought I'd just ramp back up, because it's not exact science. And my reasoning for this whole thing was I thought I'd consolidate and then fall off a cliff, because it couldn't really spike up here. And that's what it ended up doing. Not really falling off a cliff, but it did have a lot of downside here. Double bottomed, I would have been getting down all here in the 28.60s. But again, my entry now was the bad part of the trade here. I just had too big of a risk, and I got scared up here and took it off when I actually should have been shorting somewhere in here. So that was a lesson there. And coming down to Thursday, we had NXTF. This day was weird. Everything that was up was doing this number 5 intraday crash pattern, and I saw WNDW do it, and it actually bounced for another 90 cents from a $9 stock. And this, I saw it basing here, and I got an entry here on this red candle. This is an OTC. 269 was my entry, and the next 2 minutes was all I had up, and it tanked. The reason I knew I couldn't even get executed on my sell, being an OTC, and this thing moves so fast. And I knew I was down a lot, so the next order, or next thing to think of was, let's just hope there's a bounce soon. Soon as in, like, hopefully around 2 versus going down to 115 bouncing, and I'll get out on the bounce. I wasn't even trying to make a profit or even break even. I knew it was too risky. I was actually getting out in the 235s when these big the volume died off here, and there wasn't a lot of volatility, so I didn't want to go back under, because if these things start tanking again, then you can't get out. So I was getting out 235. So I mean, I did lose a lot, and I did end up bouncing. I didn't regret my sell here, because these OTCs can do anything. You never really know. Lesson learned here is, I mean, don't be trading a setup you don't know well / haven't been tracking. When, yes, I know if it tanks down a whole bunch, it needs to bounce, or it needs to have another move up. You don't know when, so don't even put your money there. So I'm relearning these patterns now. Last trade was an overnight, because there's a number 5 play. Trading this overnight from Thursday to Friday. You can see it was basing here on the 28th, and I was selling in the 29s. So again, on my entry on the 28th, I didn't really care about my entry too much, because I was going for the overnight play. You can see higher lows throughout the day. TEUM was also doing this, and I thought about buying that, but I'm not too comfortable with this pattern, as in the day it's consolidating. But I feel a lot better now that seeing both the NXTD and TEUM did spike the next day. So I was getting in around 342 near the close and didn't do anything after hours. Pre-market, it did spike up. I was watching all this whole play here, and at the open here, I am up as 371, and I am willing to hold through a bit of a pullback. And the reason for that is because everyone in this yesterday, the 28th, they're all up right now, so they want to take their profits, and taking profits will bring the stock down. So I knew that going into here, and I wasn't worried about holding here. When it spikes up, it really can't confirm going red to green. So then it pulls back down, higher low. I did like that, and this ramping action, I did like that. But when it's losing volume and it can't get back up, and it looks like it's going to top here again, so a lower high, I got off at 364. I was actually selling half here, I think half here. I didn't like this price action at all. I thought it'd have a lot more strength here and just be increasing and actually break this. But when I can't do that, I'm out. It did end up going up to the 390s. Definitely would have been out of the 380s if I held, because that's what I was going for, and that's where resistance was in the past. From back here, 380s. But I mean, live and learn. I did get a nice win. This was the last trade of the year. And I do like these number 5 patterns, so that's what I'm going to stick to going into the new year. So thanks everyone, and good luck tomorrow. First trading day of 2018. Good luck everyone. Thanks.